Wait a minute. There we go. Okay, can you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So this is a picture we also got in the showman in Montreal in the dojo. You see this picture? So this is the pathway going in Iwama towards the dojo, towards the old dojo. So this is a great picture for me, like in terms of alignment, in terms of the structure. So also the really interesting thing, if you notice in his right hand, something he's holding is like, this is like an iron sword. So this is like a bokken made of heavy metal. And you just notice like how he manages to like balance it in the body. So you notice like carrying like a heavy object in one side is going to start to take the balance of the body out, but you see it's like totally maintaining this kind of equilibrium across the system, like across the shoulders, across the hips, in the feet. He's also wearing these like heavy sandals as well, like these high, heavy geita kind of sandals. So this is a great picture. Also, if you notice, like all the pictures I've sent you, I got a few of them I'll show today. The position of your head always has this like lengthened extension, always. So it's really hard to find a picture of Osensei like out of balance and out of structure. So it's this is a really great picture. So we're actually going to start with an exercise like this. So we will bow in and then get started. But just take a okay, we'll go straight. Okay. Great. Okay, great. Onegaishimasu. Perfect. So we're going to start with an exercise just like that. I just want you to have the bokken at the side. You're just going to walk. So you're just going to walk through the room, through the space. Ideally, first like forwards. You can also do this backwards. Backwards walking is great. But just play with moving through the space. Noticing the weight of the bokken in one side. You can play with it in both sides, right or left. But just nice and slowly walking through the space. That's nice and easy. Just kind of naturally walking through. What you want to notice is, again, the side where you've got the bokken, whichever side that is, I want you to really focus on that side of the body. So if the bokken's in the right hand, really focus on that structural alignment between that side and how that whole side of the body is operating to kind of move you through the space. So again, ideally looking at the same alignments, the hip to the knee to the foot falling into a line, the shoulder to the elbow to the hand falling into line. And the key for us right now is like the spinal alignment. So think of the tailbone to the base of the skull, the tailbone kind of dropping towards the ground, the base of the skull lifting to the top, creating a sense of length, extension through the body. Same time, you've got a little bit of weight on one side of the body. You just want to allow the structure to naturally deal with it. So you're looking for equilibrium through the whole system. That's it. Yeah, and you can add different weights, you can add things to it, play with different things. Right. Again, I want you to play with also misaligning the body. So the special one for us, you see this all the time now. If you go to, I used to love going to airports and flying and traveling because the one thing you could sit in an airport and watch everyone move around. And now everyone, especially now, I mean, apart from having masks and everything, it brings all attention to the front of the head. You've got a phone in there. Everyone walks with a phone now. So they get automatically like this kind of posture. But again, just notice what that does to the posture. So you've got this, that, and the head comes down. I mean, also in terms of Budo, in terms of being aware, Zanshin, all this kind of stuff, apart from that issue, just in terms of postural alignment, notice what it does to the body. So just play with it again, misaligning the body. And then once you've done those, if you just play with coming into more of a, I don't always think about correct or kind of perfect alignment. I just want you to think about like functional alignment. So it's the alignment where I'm going to be able to function properly or function better from. Think about better function, more efficient structure. So it's not about standing up straight, being rigid. It's about being in a kind of balanced position that I can start to act on or act from. Right, super easy. Yeah, right. Okay, perfect. Right, so we'll do the same thing. We're just coming into Kamai now, so specific to the sword. So you want the heels together, sword at the back towards the hip. Again, just get that sense of the length through the body. So again, everything's going to now happen around this area and in the front of the body. What I want you to think about now is coming into posture, just settling into it. So exactly all those alignments through the hip to the knee to the foot, the shoulder to the elbow to the hand, and the spine, the tailbone, thoracic, and the back of the neck, the base of the skull. So just play here, coming in and out of posture. And again, you're not looking for like perfect alignment, you're looking for functional alignment. So it's the alignment that I feel I can just move from. So also play with here, like you're coming in and out of Kamai. So that's the kind of traditional. You're going to start the Saburi from here, but also think about just kind of coming into a walk, take a few steps, move from it, coming back. Play with it a little bit. So again, misalign the body so that you also feel like what it says. Like, for example, the big one here with the sword is like, I start to load the shoulders up. I load the hand up, and then I do this kind of thing. So already the structure's compromised. So everything I do from that is from a misaligned position. And then I basically end up with like rocking movements through the structure. So play with tension in the body, shoulders raised up, too far stretched out, feet misaligned, all these kind of things. Play with a kind of misaligning the structure as well. So you have a really clear idea of where you want to move towards. Especially with the weapons, for us, the shoulders are really big. Big deal. So even without doing anything complex, like raising the sword, cutting with it, notice how complex the system is in the body. How really difficult, well, not difficult to do, but just how complex any simple action is. That's why simple exercises are really great to make changes in the body. It's where you really notice how complex an action is for the body. And we just kind of forget about it as we do them naturally, which is what you want. You want to kind of forget about them, but in order to make changes, then you need to bring a bit of awareness to them, or a lot of awareness to them. So if we're looking in terms of getting better into better alignment, it takes a real kind of focus. And good habit or habits might feel like good posture, and they might not be. So being able to decipher between what's good alignment and bad alignment is tricky, especially we were talking just before about injuries. If you have an injury, the body takes a compensation for that injury. When the injury is over, it might keep the compensation, which feels strong for the body because it's trying to find the strongest position while the joint's compromised. But once that injury is over, hopefully, then you want to be able to get back into a more natural alignment for the body. All comes down to listening again, so listening to the body, playing with the structure. Right, very easy. Good. Okay, we'll go into the first group. So what I want you to again think about, we're just going to start really basic. So just come into the back, cutting in. So just cut that wood normally. Cutting in, just cutting. Nice basic. So. Perfect. Perfect. Okie dokie. Okay, I'm going to show one more picture. I couldn't find one with a bokken, which was a good enough one, but this is with a joke. So 1 second, share it. So this is what the idea we're going to work on really with this class. Can you see this one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a great picture where they're essentially using a joke, really thick, heavy joke, it looks like. Or maybe it's a spear, can't quite see the end of it. But so the main thing with this, well, with this class, what we're going to look at, or especially important with the weapon work, is aligning the function of the weapon with the body. So you can see in this one, the classic, the rear arm, aligning with the length of the joke, with the direction of the arm. But you can also see the other arm as well. So both arms kind of aligning in terms of structure through the joke. Also, you've got like great, you see the legs nice and relaxed, the knees have flexibility. And again, the position of the head, like right up, lengthened, direct, looking forward. So this is a really great picture of us, isn't it? Again, shoulders in alignment, hips in alignment, feet in alignment, everything's kind of nice, solid structure. And the key for us is this sense of aligning to the weapon, aligning with the function of the movement. So we will look at that with the sword, slightly different idea. But what you're looking for, the Shomanuchi is a classic one. So you've got this cut running through the center of the body. So what I'm looking to do is bring those alignments, so the legs, the arms, the spine, into alignment with the function of this movement, this arc through the system. So I do this exercise a lot. We usually do it in the mornings. So what you're going to do is just raise up to the top, sink through. Raise up to the top, sink through. But I want you to really think about, just now think about the whole system aligning right behind that movement. Right. Yes. Be a little bit playful as well, so let it kind of drop towards the ground. Give yourself a little bit of time in both of these positions. So the lower position, the upper position. So. Well, the function of this obviously is to raise the sword up and then drop it into a movement. That's obvious. But you're looking for it to pass in an arc. So I'm looking for like an uninterrupted arc, especially in the cut. Right. Okay. Nice. There we go. Okay. So we'll just work each limb at a time again. So going first with the arms. So just play with it, just shoulder width apart, or a little bit wider than shoulder width. We're just going to work first with the wrist. So as if you're kind of beating a drum, just use that mobility, just the wrist. So forget about all this kind of mobility in the wrist now. You're just working that. This is a kind of classic movement for us in terms of later for like koku work, when we're looking for this kind of shape. But just play with this. So again, the main thing now, also isolating the wrist, but see the effect now. What I want you to think about is the foot. So the same side, same hand, same foot, the connection. So just listen first. Don't try and force anything. Just listen to what's happening in the body. You do this. Play with both sides. Just isolating the wrist movement. Okay. That's it. And if you kind of feel nothing, or you don't feel anything, you feel like, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for, force it a little bit where you're kind of hitting a little bit stronger. So the key thing you want to feel is how you raise the sword and how you drop it in, how you sink it into the ground. So this is the same movement you're doing with the bigger movement like this, but it's just isolated just so that I just want to think about the foot and the hand. how they're operating and coordinated together. So, great. Start to bring the elbow into it now. And notice, you probably notice, unless I just isolate the elbow like this, I lock the whole system, you'll probably notice the knees start to flex. So the knees start to become involved in the movement. So what I want you to feel now is the hand, foot, elbow, knees, elbow, knee, elbow, knee. How are they working together to kind of facilitate that movement? That's it. That's it. And again, if you're kind of struggling with this, play with also the position of the feet as well. So you can take it into a hammy where you're kind of used to that connection, a little bit more used to it. But again, just play with like that. So there's always a kind of communication through the whole system. Just think about kind of isolating it. What's happening now between the elbow and the knee? I don't let the system with tension. How does it engage the whole system? Right. And again, play with both sides. You'll probably feel the left side a little bit tricky. So. Right. Great, bring in the shoulder now. So bringing the whole movement in. With this one, don't worry so much about tracking to the center line of the body. Using up to the kind of the side. So you're kind of tracing along the shoulder to the hip, this kind of line. Then notice what's happening in the hip now. So the shoulder, right side hip. What's happening? You can also place your hand there if you feel like nothing's happening. Place the hand there, feel what's actually happening with the joint. Yes. Again, play with both sides, mix them in. Okay, good. Okay, we'll work a little bit now on the kind of spinal alignment, the upper body alignment. So bring both hands onto the weapon. Here, just again, square posture, a little bit wider than hips. Really consider now as you go through this movement. This movement's great for this kind of alignment. So just check here again, you've got that same movement like we did with the Joe before, that sense of finding the tailbone, finding the whole spine. The key with this one again, try and avoid this kind of thing, especially in the upper body like this, going into this kind of position. So have the feeling that you're lengthening, but also as again, like the tailbone dropping down towards the ground, the head's extending up. So imagine those kind of two poles of the body kind of spreading away from each other a little bit. And then from here, maintaining that alignment as you drop in. So just reaching up, dropping in, reaching up, dropping in. And again, knowingly misalign the body. So the big one for us again is the head. So you see this a lot when you come into this freeway. The head crunches up to the top. And then the other one with this one is this big cut. The head pushes back. So there's kind of breaking the alignment out. So this happens again if I'm using too much power, too much speed. I'm just using force. I'm not focusing on alignment of the body. But playing out, again, misalign the body. So as you come up, play with, you can throw the head back, you can throw it up, you can push the chest up into this kind of alignment, misalign in the back. You can tuck the spine in the back, you can push the spine out, the classic Iwama duck back. This one, you really want to avoid this one. But no, the key with this is as you misalign the spine, focusing on the neck or the thoracic or the tailbone or all of it, notice what it does to the limbs. So just listen to what it's doing to the structures again for the shoulders and the hips. So especially with like this kind of one, straight away the shoulders start to become locked. So they become inefficient because they're holding the structure of the body up now. So then anything that I do from here is gonna be automatically taken into the shoulders. So starting from a kind of misaligned structure is gonna lead to problems in terms of efficient movement and later in terms of power. So tension, the problem is this tension feels strong usually, but actually it's kind of weak later in terms of mobility, speed. That's it. Nice, very nice. Nice. Right. Right. So obviously there's like two kinds of pressure you can add to the system. You can add pressure in terms of like function, like I'm gonna hit something, or I'm gonna use a heavier object. The other function the other thing you can do to add pressure is you do it for a longer time. So imagine you were going to do a movement for an hour. How would that doing it for an hour change the way I do the movement? So a lot of this kind of alignment stuff, and if you go to the world like internal power stuff, the origins of it are really basic. They're usually with laborers. So a lot of this stuff comes from farmers or laborers who are in the fields working their bodies really hard, difficult tasks. So you either move the body efficiently or you break it. So usually these kind of people have very good structural alignments, people that are working kind of manually with the body. They either invent methods like this, and they usually don't know they're doing it as well. These people are great to watch in terms of structure and alignment. So you've got the time, think about this, like I'm gonna do this movement for an hour, just that movement. How would it change the movement? Now, also the other thing you can think about is adding just a little bit of pressure to the movement, or a little bit of power to the movement in terms of, you've probably seen all these videos of like Tannerucci practice, like hitting something. What I want you to think about is a little bit now with the focus, like you're pressing weight through the end of the sword. So as if you're hitting something now, coming into the full focus with the cut. But again, think about how the structure needs to be aligned to meet that power down or that pressure down. Boom. And really think like you were kind of chopping wood or something. You need to do it for an hour, or you need a lot of wood. So you want to be working in this kind of rhythm, which is really going to tie you up. You do it for 5 minutes and you'll be dead. So you want to really feel, I'm going to be doing this for a long time. And I'm going to be doing it tomorrow and the day after and the day after that for a long time. So you want to be as efficient as possible, but still powerful. That's what you're looking for. Right. And like chopping wood's not a bad analogy for this, even though it's used as a criticism sometimes of expecting our stuff, this kind of stuff. But if you imagine chopping wood, take the brute kind of thing out of it, you need a real precision to chop wood. So you need to cut it right in the exact point. Otherwise you kink the X, you're going to misalign it, you're going to split the wood in the wrong way. So imagine if you're like splitting a log, you need two things. I need to hit precisely the right point, and I need to hit this with the axe in precisely the right point. So anything where I'm going to like kink the weapon, or I'm going to hit the object in the wrong angle, is going to give you serious feedback, and it's going to make your job longer. So you want to be precise now. Shomanuchi is a classic example of this. So what you're looking for in this in terms of alignment, through the center of the body, you're looking to let the sword pass right through the center of the body. So that if you're doing it in a mirror, you have like a dot in front of the body. What you don't want is like hunk, kink. Now, obviously, later we're taking this into like into Yokomanuchi, where this alignment starts to change. But the Shomanuchi is the base for it. Let it really drop down. That's off, right? But try and be really precise with it, like surgical, not surgical, like a woodcutter. So you want to like really whack, like you're hitting whack, precise every time, whack, precise every time. And again, not repetitions, but you want to be precise every single time. You want the same kind of alignment. But again, Shomanuchi is perfect for this because it's straight line, straight through the body, straight sword. Right. Yeah, great. Yeah, Adrian, good. Yeah, and if you've got an object in the room you can use to kind of, as a reference, use it. So things like balls or whatever you've got. Things with like this you can cut towards. So you want to have something that you can actually kind of strike into. So I've got a real clear feedback on where I'm cutting and a clear reference for the body. So if you've got something, or you can just imagine something easier with, you've got a kind of clear reference. Right. That's. Okay, good. Right. Right. So usually for us also, because we have a dominant hand, most of us have a dominant hand, you'll probably feel one side is stronger than the other, and you might feel one side wants to dominate more than the other. So in terms of this, the main thing that you want to avoid is the sense that any of the arms are kind of pulling and pushing this way. So you don't want to kind of steer the bokken in by pulling it and pushing it in this kind of way. Like I'm trying to steer the bokken down. The main thing is really allowing the bokken to drop. So this is why this exercise is so important. I don't want the arms to interfere at all in this movement by doing anything that's like in this range of motion. So when you start to have power now, the tendency is that start to do this kind of thing. So this action of the arm is actually impeding the movement of the bokken. So you're slowing yourself down by doing this, and you're also taking the bokken out of alignment. So just play now with like this movement, this, and then the focus, boom, straight in, boom, straight in. But I don't want the arms at all to interfere. You just want them to snap into place at the end. Just play with it, and notice if you've got the tendency in the right hand or the left hand, one side will probably try and dominate it. Yeah, that's it. Right. Very good. Yep. Yeah. Yes. Good. Great. Okay, we'll take it into the traditional kamae, so into the right side. Again, think about what I want to first start to think about is the sides of the alignment. So think first about the left side and the left foot. So usually in terms of Aikido in martial arts, we're looking at side-to-side connection. Obviously later, more complex is looking at the kind of cross alignments across the body. But the basis for this is the same side alignment. So just focusing on one side at a time, left side, left foot. Again, this is a great movement for this because the rear foot's planted, the left side's planted. You use the left hand as the anchor for the weapon, as the raising, and you sink in, raise the foot, drop the weight in, drop into the cut. Drop back, drop in, drop back, drop in. But just bring all your concentration to that side of the body, particularly the hand, the arm and the leg. And again, first you're just looking at how are they communicating with each other? How does the leg talk with the arm, with the movement to kind of facilitate the movement? Right. And play also here with giving yourself less control. So the right hand, you can also play with it being very, very loose, very light. Or yeah, even dropping the arm off totally. So just playing with the left arm in the sword. Right. That's it. Yeah. Okay, great. And then the slightly more active side, focus on the right side. So you want the left there, but just very light on the sword. And just bring your attention out. You've got a more active, so you've got the pull back of the leg, and you've got the press forward, dropping down into it. Again, just really focus on that side connection. Right foot, right arm. How do they interact? How do they work together? Good. Perfect. Right. Okay, coming back to the full movement now. So bring this whole thing together. So what I want you to think about, again, you can switch in terms of your concentration and focus on the left side or focus on the right side. The movement's the same. They're basically, they're going to equal each other out. So just by concentrating on the right side of the movement, the left side's going to kind of fall into place, hopefully. So one's going to fall into the other. The big thing, what I want you to think about now, sometimes you'll hear this kind of 6 harmonies thing. If you read anything in the kind of Chinese literature, like the Tai Chi literature, this is from the kind of Chinese classics. So one of the famous phrase from this is that the hand and the foot communicate together, that the knee and the elbow communicate, and that the shoulder and the hip communicate. The key part of this for us, not only is that they move together, is that the lower takes precedence over the upper. This is key for us. So you've got Tohei's famous phrase, which was like weight underside, which is basically telling you like focus your efforts in the lower. The lower takes precedence over the upper. So what I want you to think about now, that communication from the foot to the hand, the foot takes the precedence. Right? So if I do this, you know this all the time. If I start with the hand, then I'm basically taking the upper body out of balance. So think about now the alignments. hand to foot, foot to hand, knees to elbows, hips to shoulders, and the lower taking precedence. So the lower leads the movement. You don't want to pull the shoulders out and leave the hips behind. So let the hips draw the shoulders into it, drag the shoulders into it. So lower over upper. Great. So obviously this movement's the most simplified movements. Again, it's those simple movements where you can really focus on changing the body. Because I can just take my concentration into those alignments and I'm not really focused on like what the movements I'm doing, how is it functioning to the partner, all that disappears. So I'm just focusing then on real simple movement. But again, trying to affect change in the body is really where you're going to kind of have the most kind of gains in terms of change. We'll take this into another simple one, which is Xango. So working both sides of the body. Again, especially now focus on the rotation and how you release it through the structure. Release it through the whole structure. So again, the lower takes priority over the upper. And again, you can take your concentration to like just one side of the body, the right side. How does that kind of operate together? Left side, how does it work together? Basically like how the legs are communicating with the arms or coordinating with the arms. So, and play with this one. Don't worry so much about doing like the full 180 degrees. You're basically just playing with shifting the weight, rotating the body. Shifting, rotating. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So one change with this play, there's different forms you see. Some people do this like this. Some people do this by dropping to the back before the cut and then coming in this way. It's not wrong, it's just a slightly different form. So the main thing with this is you do this rotation, focus on the head. So one of the bad points of finding the back in this kind of movement is you start to kind of come into this kind of position. Again, the head starts to crunch, the shoulders start to go into a strange kind of alignment with the body. It starts to lock the shoulders. So as you do this one, just allow yourself to come to this position, just the top of the head here. So as you come up, think about spiraling the sword up to the top, this position. So you want, again, the head to be lengthened, extended. The reason for that is the shoulders. So if I drop into the head, the shoulders start to lock. So any movement now becomes compromised. So then it becomes just that movement. But I want the shoulders to be free to be able to mobilize. And then later, this is really necessary for things like your coming. So I need the shoulders to be open and operating. The position of the head is really, really important for this because if I crunch the head, the shoulders start to fall out of alignment. So play with this idea of lengthening up, spreading down as you rotate. Really check the position of the head. Right, that's it. Again, just in terms of Buddha, imagine someone's in the room. You want to be knowing what's going on. You don't want to be looking at your own feet or hands. Right. nice. That's it. Very nice. Great. Great. Okay, we'll go a little bit faster. So we're going to go into yokomen. So what I want you to do is just same on the spot. So you're going to come up to the top, find the cut. Up to the top, find the cut. To the top, find the cut. So again, just get into a kind of rhythm with it. We'll get into a feel for it. On the spot, yokomenuchi. On the spot, yokomenuchi. It's a nice natural rhythm. Right, keep going. Yeah, first point with this, drive the movement from the lower body. So really notice with this, the tendency to do that. Arms first, arms first, arms first, then the feet drag behind. So really feel it when you're doing this movement, you're releasing it from the ground. So make it really clear. It's like that, that, that. The feet, think again, the reverse kind of mobility, the foot's connecting to the ground. Foot, knee, hip. And then you want to drive it into the bucket through the arms. So foot releases, drive it into. So think really releasing it from the lower body. That's it. And there we go. Right. So again, if you're using the weapon in a way to train the body, and then we're using this to feed into the taijutsu system, if my habit with the saburi is to start with the arms, this is a disaster for Aikido. So if you think about any movement we do, think about Suwaiwaza Kokuha. So someone's got my arm. Now my trained in skills from the sword work is raise their hands first, move their hands. Immediately this gets blocked because it's an isolated movement from the arm. So straight away that's going to get blocked. I'm going to meet resistance. And then I think, how do I deal with the resistance? I use power. And then I do this kind of stuff. So this is a disaster for training. This is where the system falls apart. You go nowhere with it. So you just start to get building. You might get bigger muscles. You might start to power people, but you're basically working inefficiently through the system. So think about really the implications of this movement through the whole system. So what you want to do is really get a sense that you're all using the lower body, and then do it. So just play here, just with this kind of movement. Imagine like a Suwaiwaza. Notice, obviously, everything in the front, someone's grabbing my wrist, everything wants to go to the wrist, to the arm. The same with the sword. Everything's here in the front. My tendency is to go with the wrist, go with the arm, go with the lower body, go with the lower body. So really consider how you're actually raising the sword through it. So you either do or one's really easy. One's really easy and efficient. You can do it all day, and you can do it against power. So you can do it against resistance. The other one just doesn't really work. You've got to overpower the other person. But just play with that Yokomen movement. Play with simple movements again. It's where you're going to really affect. And this is also really important, like when we're training weapons, to know, like, yeah, I'm practicing a cut, which is going to later be used for the kumitachi. But the other thing is I'm practicing body organization, that it's going to feed the whole entire way I use the body in terms of how I'm moving. Yeah, that's it. And in essence, it doesn't really matter what the movement is. The coordination is going to be the same. Just various complexity. Right. Yeah, super. That's it, perfect. Great. Okay, we'll just make this a little bit more challenging. So you're going to work now with, rather than, actually, we're going to first go into stepping. So again, you're going to work with the Yokomen. Now you're going to transfer the weight into the foot, come into the step this way. So just want you to do one cut at a time, with left side, right side. But again, think about organizing the body around these alignments. So the key thing now is having a little bit more pressure and the feeling of traveling in, cutting in. Primarily focused on how you get into the step or how you step into this way. We'll come to the stepping kind of next, but just focusing on initiating the movement from the core of the body. Right, good. Yeah. The key alignment with this Yokomen, for other cuts, it's slightly different. So if you go into like this kind of Kesa movement, you go into this kind of alignment. So the limbs come in a little bit off this alignment. With the Yokomen, you really want to use in the center of the head this way. So see the Yokomen as just a variation on Shomen. So you've got Shomen, Yokomen this way. But really think, in this case, what you don't want to go into, in terms of this alignment as you go in, you don't want to go into that alignment. And you also don't want to go into that, throwing the arms to the back. And this is going to screw with all the alignment in terms of this movement specifically. So think as you go through, top of the head. So really think about, in terms of like the Shomen come into the center of the body, it's the same idea. Think about dropping into the center of the body. And then the cut's going to have a lot of structure behind it. You can add pressure to it. So you're just slightly changing the rotation of the hips, which is going to give you that very slight diagonal. Right, there we go. Think front of the head. Bam. Not quite. Try this exercise without the bokken. Really easy. Super easy. So you go like this. Wham, 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 wham. You've got to think this area of the hand's like magnetic, like it's going to go like to the head, to the head, to the head, to the head. So whenever you think Yokomen, think goes to this kind of position, goes to this kind of position, that kind of position. You can do this both sides. Obviously with the sword, that's going to be with the right hand. This is where that movement's coming from. But just think about like that. And notice the difference between that and that. Totally different. Wang or wang. The shoulder's totally coming out of line in this case. So again, it's about keeping this structure through the line. So if you think about coming into a Yokomen strike, I need a weight behind it, which means I need that alignment with the shoulder. I go wang, the shoulder's out. This has no power behind it. So just play a little bit there. Oh, no. Right. So this is going into the next idea. The next class we're going to look at is basically communicating through the system pressure, which turns into like weight. So being able to use this alignment to then add pressure through it. So you were looking at like a temi work or looking at striking work. It's the ability to communicate the whole body to communicate pressure into the other person, or in this case with the bokken, like into the object. So just play a little bit here and then we'll take a quick break. So you got the yokomen, play with the sword, play with the hands. Again. Right. That's it. Petrus. Very good. Good. Hey, Petrus.
Hey.
Hello. Okay, good. Just finishing a little bit of yokomen work. Okay, good. Great. Last minute, whether you're doing the hand or the bokken, think about this now as one movement. So, like static training with the showman, we're like 1, 2, which is great. But later you want to get the ability to do this in one motion. The yokomen's the best kind of position, the best training for this, because what I don't do is like break up the move 1, 2. Although this is useful to start to kind of find this alignment, what you want to do later is start to bring it into 1. So the raise and the cut become the same movement. 1. This is basically an attack form later. So you want the ability to raise and cut being one thing. And that can be the same with the hand. Boom, 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 boom. You want it to be the same kind of thing. 1 movement. Okie dokie. Nice. Exactly. Okie dokie, perfect. We'll take a quick break. Again, if you've got any questions, you can ask them now. You can ask them during the break, whenever you like, if anything's not clear. So we'll bow out first. Let's go. Great. Domo, arigato. Okie dokie. Great. Again, we'll come back on the hour. So keep your bokken. We'll go right into bokken work.